Welcome to Cambodia Business Week with your host Anthony Galliano here on Radio 1FM 103.7.
Last segment of our show, we were fortunate to have Rithon from Forthy Insurance, Morgan Lee from Smart Learning Center. Let's talk about food. I'm getting hungry. It's almost breakfast. Well, you had your breakfast already, right?
Absolutely, always.
So Darren Gold is joining us. Darren is a returnee. You were on last time, I think, with Tim
Correct.
Burns, Timothy Burns, about the Tiger's Eye. And now we're going to talk about, you're an author.
Thank you, Anthony. Good to be back.
You're now an author. That's fantastic. So I have a book in front of me called Cambodian Sevensea by Darren Gold and Lu Ming.
Correct.
What made you switch from becoming a wine connoisseur, a restaurateur, to becoming a author?
Fair question. So writing's always sort of been a part of my professional life. My background in the wine industry is wine marketing. So, some of those dubious back wine labels that you used to read and things like that were all mine. Used to write, back labels for winemakers and press releases and things like that. And that just grew to a genuine passion for writing about food and wine. And Cambodia, of course. So when I had the opportunity to come back to Cambodia from a couple of years in Hanoi, I wanted to come and write about the country, and Lu Ming was able to give me that opportunity. Yeah.
Okay, so what was the inspiration to all of a sudden write this book?
Okay, so Ming and I have talked about writing together for many, many years, to be honest, and discussed a number of different projects and collaborations, and he has a new restaurant that's just opened called Sevensea.
Right.
So that presented the perfect opportunity. We discussed an idea to collaborate on a book around the restaurant and around Cambodia and around seafood and the history of seafood in Cambodia. And the book was born from that.
All right, well, first we got to get the marketing part here. So where is this wonderful book available? Because you want to sell them, obviously, right?
Obviously, yeah. So the book's available from Monument Bookstores and in Cambodia, and also from the Almond Hotels and Sevensea restaurant.
Okay, so how much is the book?
$35, I think.
It's all worth it, no problem. All right, so let's talk about the book itself. Lu Ming, obviously a very famous chef. For those that don't know Lu Ming, maybe you could give us a minute on him.
So Ming is what I call Cambodia's master chef, and he was the
we got to get him on the show sometime. I keep asking him, but go ahead.
Unfortunately, he's overseas at the
Right.
moment. Otherwise, he would have been glad to be here. But
Right.
he was the first executive chef of a 5-star hotel in Cambodia that was Cambodian, along with Song Teng. And then he travelled around the region and worked with some great chefs, got well schooled in cooking, and came back and started Marlis Restaurant. And Marlis Restaurant is the first sort of fine dining Cambodian food restaurant. And what's always appealed to me about that challenge was a lot of the history of Cambodian food was lost. There was an oral history passed down orally, and a lot of it was lost. And so Ming, it wasn't just a case of opening the doors and rolling out these fine dining Cambodian dishes. He really had to research the cuisine, restore the cuisine, recalibrate the cuisine, and he's really recreated fine Cambodian dining.
His reputation is incredible. He's helping the restaurant market, the food market here in Cambodia a lot. We got to give him a lot of credit for that. There are people that really have passion and commitment to their work, and Lu is obviously one of those people. So let's talk a little bit about the book, because you said there's 3 aspects to it. So I'll let you start out. There's the mythological aspect to it, right?
Correct, yeah.
Let's talk about the myth. That's the fun part, right?
Well, it is. It was certainly fun to research. And so Cambodian people say that they're born of the Naga, and the Naga people were people from under the sea. They're sea people. So a lot of the myths and legends about the creationist legends of Cambodian people, Khmers, was around the sea and around the Naga. There's also, of course, the famous ballet, which is the monkey and the mermaid, which is part of legend, and the Royal Cambodian Ballet performed this, and that's also part of Hindu tradition. And then, of course, there's the story of Sang Silache, which is the snail, the sea snail, that travels with one of the gods, and these legends are in the book. And then also, what we were very fortunate to do was, the second part of the book is, we took the 7 chefs of Sevensea restaurant, and we travelled around.
And can you give us who those chefs are and what restaurants they're attached to?
Well, they're all working at Sevensea in
Right.
different areas of cuisine, along with Ming, of course.
Right.
Working in the restaurant specialises in Chinese, Japanese, and Cambodian cuisine, and obviously in seafood. So it was the main chefs from this restaurant, and we took them around the coast and really met people like we went to the pepper farms and the salt farmers, and we met the crab ladies in Camp, and we fishermen in Sinotville.
Was it a lot of fun?
It was a great trip.
Okay.
Yeah,
You have some pictures of it. They look fantastic.
we had some great photographers on the trip with us, and their work is obviously in the book. It's a very visual, picture-driven book, and they did a fantastic job. So it was a journey of a lifetime. It was something that I'll never forget. We had traveling with 7 chefs, buying great produce and cooking for people and sharing food and sharing experiences. And the thing that stayed with both Meng and I, we talk about this a lot, is the people we met and their commitment to their lifestyle and the quality of their life and the quality of what they're producing. It was really something special.
So what did you learn about Cambodian cuisine that you didn't know before? Because you've been in the country a long time.
Yeah, I have, and been in the region a long time, I guess, and worked with a lot of chefs over a lot of years. And I think what I learned most about Cambodian food is the subtlety of it. So we think of the region and we think about spices and we think about herbs and we think about powerful flavours in some of the neighbouring cuisines, but Cambodian cuisine is much more subtle and balanced, and it's really
less spicy, correct?
It's less spicy, yeah, but there's spice there, but it's much more with an elegant hand. It's much more delicate, much more complex and sophisticated.
Is it underrated? Because you look at the region, people love Chinese food, they love Japanese food, Thai food. Why aren't people saying, let's have some Cambodian food?
Well, I think they're starting to. I think it's emerging, and as I say, in part, the economy was under a lot of stress. It, went through this dark period, and a lot of the culture of cuisine and food was lost. So, even now, I'm sort of turning up these rare little gems that, from the 50s and 60s that were part of the cuisine here. And I think that we're getting to a stage now where Gordon Ramsay's been in the market here, one of the most famous chefs in the world, and shot a food episode with Meng. You've got Anthony Bourdain who's been here, and all of a sudden it's opening up and people are starting to become interested in Cambodian food. And Lu Meng has actually just hosted the first food tourism conference here.
Right.
And in the greater Mekong area, food tourism is a big part of what is in the attraction in the region, yeah.
All right, so what are the classic Cambodian seafood dishes?
Well, you've got your sort of classic fish amok, but then you've got, sort of herb-based fish soups. You've got to remember that a lot of 90% of the protein in Cambodian's diet comes from freshwater fish. Of course, the most famous dish, and probably my favourite, is the great crab with kampot pepper.
Yeah, kampot.
Wonderful dish.
Right.
So there's many, but that's probably my favourite.
All right, and what would give us some of the more you've done? Because how many months did you go on this trip with these 7 chefs?
Look, the book was probably a year in development, but the trip was only, for the first trip we went down there for a week, and then we come back and we went again, and we went to different parts of the coastline. So on and off, it was probably months.
Right, so tell us some of the more interesting people you met and some of the more interesting things you learned. There's always experiences, right, that you meet very surprisingly interesting people.
I guess probably the most fascinating person that I met. There's an island, if you go down the coast about halfway to Koh Kong, there's an island off the coast called King's Island, or Koh Sadat. And it's just a tiny little kidney bean shaped island. You can walk from one side to the other in like 10 minutes. And right in the middle of the island, there's an ice factory. And this ice factory is run by Generation Power. It's been there for 25 years. There's a husband and wife that own the ice factory. And they service the entire fishing industry in that area. So they make about 1,200 large blocks of ice a day, and they sell them all. And if they could make more, they could sell more. The ice factory runs 24 hours a day. If the ice factory has a problem, the entire fishing industry in the area has a problem. So they have to import the ice from Thailand. So this ice factory is like the beating heart of the fishing industry on this tiny little island off the coast of Cambodia.
And what dish did you discover that you didn't know before?
What dish did I discover? Look, there's a lot of different dishes that I hadn't had before, but there's something called it's like a mantis. In Australia we call it a prawn killer because it's got a very sharp tail. Now having that with this sort of krung sauce was one of the most interesting dishes I've ever had. I had no idea this species was here.
Right.
But beautiful flavour. So if you see a mantis in the market or on a menu, definitely try it.
I will try it. So the restaurant is located where?
It's called Rainbow Bridge, just behind the Sofitel and Aeon Mall.
Okay.
On the road, just before the bridge that goes over to Koh Kong, you've got the Armand Basak Hotel, And 2 floors of that is the Sevensea restaurant.
Okay, and any quick recommendations, because you are a wine connoisseur, right? What's in the market now that you would recommend that we have a nice red or white with a good seafood dish?
Well, the other day, just last night, I had a very nice Teltani Sauvignon Blanc, which has been in the market for a little while, but I hadn't tried it for a while, so I came back to it. I had it last night with some pumpkin ravioli. It was a very good dish, very nice match, so look out for Teltani Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon Blanc's still doing very, very well with the cuisine here.
All right, and these dishes that are in the book are available at Lou's restaurant?
They certainly are, yeah. And there's a wine recommendation with every dish in the book, and there's a chapter on pairing wine and seafood.
All right, we're not going to ask you the classic question because you've answered it many times before. So let's ask you, what was the most enjoyable experience in doing the book, and what was probably an unpleasant experience in doing the book?
The unpleasant experience is easy. We're driving over from Sihanoukville to Kosadak, or to the area where Kosadak is. It was the middle of the night. The worst storms I've ever driven in. You could not see 1 foot or half a metre in front of the car's taillights. It was harrowing. It was frightening. So that was the worst experience. The best experience was just the camaraderie, the people we met. Just what always astounds me about Cambodia is just the quality of the people that you meet.
All right, Darren, thanks for coming on again.
Pleasure.
And good luck with your book, and good luck with the restaurant.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you next week on Cambodia Business Week.
Thank you, mate.